Hi everybody, it's that time of year again when I join the local library for book club. So the first book we reviewed is The Henna Artist. Not a fan. I didn't think it was that amazing, but Netflix did. Apparently they're gonna make a movie. Enjoy. Here's why I didn't like it. I didn't know who the author's audience was because she kept explaining things that I thought is common knowledge, but maybe if you're not familiar with Indian culture, you won't know the various herbs and spices, but I think there's a better way of explaining things so it's universal to people of Indian origin as well as everyone else. I wasn't a big fan, but everybody in my library group loved it. It's a story of survival, basically. A young woman being in an unhappy marriage that flees and finds escape, and a little sister that goes to find it. I won't tell you who the Henna Artist is, but if you just want a summer beach read, good recommendation. But not for me, wasn't a fan. If you want a great book on Indian culture, I highly recommend the interpreter Maladies. I've said this before, it feels like liquid poetry. You just can't put this book down. It's just beautifully crafted, and you can tell that Jhumpa Lahiri really is a master of the writing craft. And Alka Joshi has a great publicist and a really dedicated literary agent that made this book happen. So I would give this a strong C+, and it's good for a summer read. So this was the first book for spring in our book club series. The second one is Gyasi's Transcendent Kingdom. I like this book so far. From what I understand, the author and I have something in common. She has a PhD in neuroscience, and neuroscience was my undergrad. I think it might alienate a few people who are squeamish and don't want to hear about brain surgery on rats and mice, and totally understandable, but don't give up on the book because that is not what this book is about. This book is about family and addiction and how it tears families apart, a little bit about the immigrant experience. So far, really good. I'm not very far in, but given that I'm not far in, I can tell you this is going to be a fun ride. Like, I get to see someone who's really good at what they do. They're intelligent. The writing's nice. I like it. And there's something about this author that reminded me of Samantha Irby. So far, early in the book, too soon to tell, but good. I accidentally read Samantha Irby on an audiobook going to work. It was so funny that nobody laughs on I-75 heading south or north for that matter. I did, and it was so funny. But I read the very last of her books, and I read it in reverse order, not knowing who she was, even though she got acclaim from Gretchen Rubin and her sister Elizabeth Craft when they did the amplification project where they amplify women of color. They mentioned Samantha Irby, and can someone correct me in the comments below? Did Samantha Irby get to write episodes of And Just Like That, which is the reboot of Sex and the City? Her writing is funny. This is not advisable if children are in the car. If you have little ones, do not listen to this on audiobook. You will spend a lot of time explaining a lot of sexual things to, to little youngsters. So a really good read. The funny story about this, we had a very sad February. I don't want to go into that now, but I desperately needed a laugh. And I'll tell you which book did not make me laugh. Gillian, Flynn, Dark Places, still struggling to get through it. It might be a DNF, did not finish. So I needed a break from something dark to something light. And I went to the library and I searched for Samantha Irby, and they only had this one copy. So it's due back, and I'm sure I have late fees. The funny story is we had such a sad February that we got on a plane and went to my happy place, which is Florida, and I didn't know my husband was reading pages of this book over my shoulder until I heard giggling. So if she can make me laugh and a middle-aged man laugh, She's genuinely funny. I do like her. I really like her in the form of an audiobook. And I think we need to do a series on bad audiobooks because I've been burned too many times. Samantha Irby restored my faith in audiobooks. So, like her. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of us are suffering from sleep pattern changes with the daylight saving, and I'm no exception. The next one is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, The Story of Success. I like this book. However, warning, this is not ideal if you want to, like, I don't know, rack up your numbers for a number of books that you're going to read, or if you're going to win a contest. This is ideal for your mind is racing, it's 2:30 in the morning, you have to be at work, and you need something that will put you to sleep that's not bad. So this is well written, well researched. It's really a story of what makes people successful. Is it a coincidence that a lot of minor league hockey teams in Canada happen to have children whose birthdays are in January? I didn't know that. Learned something new. I'd say this is a little bit more along the lines of Daniel Pink's When. You know, it's scientific research, well thought through and well written, but it's not Samantha Irby. You're not, going through this page by page by page, just laughing. It kind of feels like a blogger style. This one feels more like highbrow. If you like reading The Economist, you like Malcolm Gladwell's Outlier. Something completely different. Found this. Ever find like an old book in your stash and you say, why not? I'll read it. This is Gerard, Durrell, My Family and Other Animals, a story of a boy. He's the youngest of 4 children. The children are like young adults, late teens. This guy's a little guy. It looks like he doesn't have a dad, and they decide to leave England and go to the island of Corfu in Greece. And it just talks about his love of animals. Like, some parts I had to read through quickly because I have certain phobias of certain animals. So I'm like, ugh, no. But it's kind of nice because it took us out of our very adult world with very adult conflicts like the Ukraine and COVID and unstable leaders and war. And it just sort of, for a tiny little snippet of time, you're lost in a little boy's world who's fascinated with animals, birds, reptiles. He finds dogs. What else did he find? I couldn't believe half the animals I wasn't familiar with. Nowadays, childhood is very different. Childhood is very protected. It's very structured. And I'm sad to say that era of children being independent and discovering things and having adventures without the knowledge of adults is over. So if you feel nostalgic for that, you'll enjoy this read. I did. It was just, it's not earth-shattering. It's just a family that hangs out in Corfu in Greece, and that's that. It's great. And it's nice to see children look at adults as grown-ups in writing from a child's perspective. Very rarely did the author slip up and reveal that this was an adult writing later in life from a child's perspective. And I'm sad to say that the only time I caught that slip up was when he, in modern day life, made a racist comment, because the child didn't see race, ethnicity, class, background. It was more when the author made a mistake that we realized, oh right, this isn't from a perspective of a child, this is from a perspective of a grown man writing as if he were a child. So tell me if you agreed with that observation. Something new development. Puppies for Dummies. I won't go into this. This is clearly a niche. The Art of Raising a Puppy and Puppy Preschool. I have never adopted a puppy, and I've always rescued, but we had a sad experience and I don't wish it on anybody. And again, I won't go through it now, but I don't know anything about puppies. I do know that they can't be treated as small dogs, so I'm doing a lot of reading. I just have one critique for the Dummies series. This is written by Sarah Hodgson, and she's a Huffington Post blogger, and this is a pretty serious critique. The book is written by a blogger, and it shows. It's not flowing very nicely. It's sort of disjointed. And I think if a book has to give you an introduction to say, here's how you should read this book, you didn't write the book properly. So that's my critique, because I've just, flagged so many areas to say, come back to this, because it doesn't flow nicely. I'm hoping the other two books, Puppy Preschool and The Art of Raising a Puppy, I hope they're a little bit more organized, because time's running out, and before you know it, the little guy will be here. I want you to comment below. The top 3 names are Luke, Charlie, and Bear. I won't tell you my favorite. I'll reveal him when the day comes. As I mentioned before, I am doing a new series, and the series is about implementing all the books I researched in order to write my own book. So I'll tell you the good ones. The good ones are Remodelista, The Organized Home, and it's by Julie Carlson and Margot. Cannot pronounce it. I will butcher it. So I'll do it like hooked on phonics. Guralnick, and they are with the editors of Remodelista. The reason why I like this book is it's very approachable with gorgeous pictures, and it says how to approach each room. So if it's the mud room, think as if you were a kindergarten teacher. If it's a kitchen, think as if you were a chef. And once you have that mindset, things become more beautiful. Along those lines of things becoming beautiful, can we just talk about the home edit? It's on Netflix, and I thought this show is amazing. They did Khloe Kardashian's garage in the book. They did Katy Perry's, I think it was her bathroom medicine cabinet, and it is gorgeous. So I can't wait for you to see how I implement these 2 books in my own decluttering and just making the house more beautiful, because the less stuff you have, believe it or not, your house tends to go more peaceful and beautiful. And then when you do the final touches, these books help, and I can't wait to show you the projects I'm working on. Now, here is what I don't recommend. So yes on this, no on this. The home organization books. I feel about the home organization books the way I feel about Puppies for Dummies. Whole bunch of ideas thrown together, no real logical sequence or given thought as to the sequence. So for instance, you want to organize your kitchen? How about drawers? How about baskets? How about a canister? That's not helping. People who are watching my channel want valuable insight for their time. So Remodelista says things like, if you don't have drawer space, use hooks. Whereas this, it's just like, use a box, use a canister. There's no thought that goes into the way we live our lives. If you don't bake, do not buy a marble kitchen countertop that's going to cost a fortune, because you're not going to be molding chocolate into sculptures. Don't do that. Remodelista seems to have a real grasp on what it's like to be a modern day homemaker, whereas this just felt like, here are some ideas. I kind of felt for the retro pictures, those 1990s maple cabinetry. I thought it was very doable, but what ended up happening is it just seemed to talk down to me, so not worth it. And you know me, I love quizzes and get to know yourself better. So if you follow me, I mentioned this before, I'm an obliger based on Gretchen Rubin's 4 tendencies. I am an underbuyer, which means I really don't like shopping for things. And as a result, I tend to accumulate clutter based on not wanting to give things away, because I know I don't have many of those items. If I give it away or donate it or sell it, what am I going to do in a pinch? This book says that they can organize for various brain types. I don't either agree or disagree. These are the brain types. The prioritizing style, these guys are natural analytic people and they tend to be naturally organized. The maintaining style, the innovative style, and the harmonizing style. Again, I don't know if I agree with this, and I don't think the insights are that helpful. If you share a kitchen with someone, of course you're going to be a harmonizing style. In our kitchen, we actually have 2 spice shelves or cabinets because we both cook, and I don't want to pick fights over who moved the cinnamon. It's not worth it. Just have 2 separate things. We have very little inventory and not a big kitchen, and despite that, we have 2 separate his and her cabinets for spices and his and her cabinets for pots and pans because I don't want my non-stick ware being scratched up. I won't name any names, but like I said, it's a shared space. Of course, we're going to be harmonizing for the sake of harmony in the marriage. I didn't think that we're that simple. Human beings are not that simple. We're not harmonizing all the time. We're not innovative all the time. We're an element of something depending on when the occasion calls for it. So not a fan, and those are all the books I have. Tell me what you think of Gyasi's Transcendent Kingdom, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.